Everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. I do these almost every single weekday, except sometimes at leecamp.com. So check there every day for a new one. So this one's a little strange. It starts off not political, okay? This is just about an article in Popular Mechanics that kind of blew my mind. Kind of crazy. So it turns out, and you can look up the article if you want. It turns out that 5 times species across the history of the earth have evolved into crabs across the history of the planet, meaning 5 completely different animals have slowly evolved into crabs. Insert your STD joke there, but how fucking crazy is that? So I was thinking maybe it's time to do it again. Maybe we need to just go full crab. I think it's time because, I think we're on our way. I mean, humans have proven to be a big fat bust if you look at it. At least with crabs, you know what you're about. You know what you're getting, right? They say right up front, I'm going to pinch the shit out of you. I have no friends. I'm not a good parent. I just want to pinch the shit out of you. With humans, there's all this lying and saying you're going to help people and you're a good worker at your desk job at Wells Fargo when you aren't. And you aren't, saying you're a good friend. You aren't. You aren't a good worker. You don't give a shit and you shouldn't. And there's lying to yourself too, right? Trying to convince yourself that your job at Wells Fargo does no harm because you don't make the top decisions. You just type the names in the boxes. We're all busy lying to ourselves, lying to others, lying to our everything. But behind it all, we're getting ready to pinch the shit out of anything that gets in our way. Evolution it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I don't know why everything ends up at crab, but that I can't answer. But still, it's a beautiful thing. It makes a wonderful diversity of life. It makes species better and more interesting and more advanced. There's only one problem with evolution. One giant problem with evolution. It takes forever. It takes thousands of years at least. It takes a long fucking time, at least for the larger species, maybe not for a gnat or something. But look at us. We still have 10 toes for no goddamn reason. The pinky toe has been hitching a ride around the planet, not doing a goddamn thing for thousands of years. That's got to be some kind of record for deadbeat tenant. We need 4 toes at most, total. 2 on each foot, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Even that might be a bit of a stretch. Point being, evolution takes thousands of years, and we don't have that long. We're past the point of no return in the next decade. We can't evolve that quick. We're going to go down taking the whole planet with us at a record speed, and Darwin's head will be spinning around so fast in his grave, it'll have a bitchin' magnetic pull. Natural selection just couldn't foresee how quickly we could destroy the planet. This is an arms race of idiocy, and natural selection has a fucking cap gun. It's working with a cap gun. You remember cap guns? Are they still a thing? They still exist? They look like regular guns, but all they did was when I was a kid, they looked like regular guns, but all they did was make a loud pop and then sometimes send a flying, burning piece of paper into your eye as you fired. Not really good for battle. Although I am pissed that kids don't have realistic guns anymore. When I grew up, they fucking look legit. Now they have all the neon orange on them or whatever. How can the little children simulate murdering each other effectively with neon orange on their guns? It's just offensive. Look, 10-year-olds want to pretend to riddle their friends with bullets, as you do, right? They want to envision hosing down their friends with armor-piercing metal projectiles, and they can't do it with the color orange, ruining the fantasy. Think of the kids, folks. Think of the kids. They act like that orange on the guns is meant to help cops but know what's real, who has a real gun. But it's really there because our cops suck. They roll into a scene, they just start firing, killing kids, whatever. They don't give a shit. We pretended we added the orange because kids are dumb. No, we added the orange because cops are dumb. Anyway, we need to evolve. Point being, we need to evolve, and quick. We live in a fantasy world in so many ways. Money is imaginary. It's an idea. 90% of it is never even printed on little pieces of paper, which we think gives it more power or more legitimacy. Ooh, it's on paper. That makes it real. But 90% of it's not even printed, meaning almost all of it is just imagination inside computer code that no one ever sees. Then you have the financial markets and the derivatives and the stocks. And that's all imagination on top of abstraction, on top of pretend, on top of fantasy fucking island. It's insane. It's a dream. It's all a dream. And yet that dream is killing the planet and killing us. That hypothetical wealth allows billionaires and corporations to do whatever the fuck they want, lay waste to whatever they want, piss on everything they want, and consume everything they want. Nothing can stop them with that amount of imaginary wealth. A fantasy world is burning the real planet. And it's like the WMD in Iraq lie, except this time, it's not just Iraq getting blown to hell. It's all of us. I mean, getting blown up, not getting blown. That doesn't sound so bad as a government policy. Honestly, that's one form of socialism I think everybody could cheer on. But some people are different. In this whole scope of things, some people are different. There are those who have evolved. There are those who see through the matrix. Maybe that awakening can become a brain virus, spread from one person to another, slowly growing until a mass mental evolution takes hold, suddenly bursting forth and changing everything overnight to a sustainable, livable world with practically no suffering. Or if not, maybe the crabs will take over. And they'll definitely do better, as long as they don't run into any tartar sauce. I think they'll be good. All right, that's your moment of clarity. If I see any good questions here real quick, I'll answer them. By the way, I do these almost every single day, so check back at leecamp.com. See if we got any questions here. But I'm not going to be able to do one probably for a couple of days. So, but there'll be other videos and things, columns and stuff at leecamp.com. So there's always new stuff. So go there, join the email list. You can join by texting the word redacted to 33777. That'll get you signed up to the free email list. Petroleum killed the planet. Yeah, I think most of us know that's important. Fun fact, obviously it's not just petroleum. That's a large part of it. But if you look at the entirety of the externalities of it, animal agriculture has actually killed the planet. It releases more global gas emissions than actually fossil fuels. Of course, there's a lot of fossil fuels included in animal agriculture, which is included in the equation. So maybe it's not a fair analysis, but, we're not allowed to talk about animal agriculture. The mainstream media is not, because big ag, the meat industry, owns too much of this system. So at the end of the day, you can't really go after the meat products in any way. I mean, honestly, it's more taboo under mainstream media to go after the meat industry than it is to fucking go after religion or some shit. I mean, when was the last time you heard anyone on mainstream corporate media bring up any qualms with, not just our torture farming that we have to be involved in order to have this system, but the amount of global greenhouse gases? It's all fucking insane, but it's not even talked about. Let's see. Gregor's working on writing an enlightenment program. I like that, to spread to widespread. Enlightenment sounds like a good plan. Let's see, what else do we have? By the way, I'm going to start. Okay, Tony DeMayo is asking me what I think of sunrise movement. So I haven't I haven't dug down deep into sunrise movement. I've read an article or two that they've really signed on with kind of the corporate big green enterprise. A lot of these organizations or things are not necessarily a monolith. So you have to decide what percentage is bad or good. I think sunrise movement, as far as I've heard, is more on the kind of captured, almost, completely captured by corporate big green. So what that means is it doesn't mean that sunrise movement is going to stand for awful things. It means, at least ostensibly, it means that they're probably going to put forward capitalistic ideas as to help the environment, as to ways to help the environment. That's what Big Green does. They say we need to fix the environment. It's very important. Look at all the animals dying. Look at climate change. The only way to do it is insert your money here. The only way to do it is invest in this. The only way to do it is to cap and trade. So they come up with these solutions that basically just further the capitalistic machine, which at times can, be a little better. So, for example, I went after responding to Planet of the Humans movie, or not responding to, agreeing with Planet of the Humans movie. I went after Bill McKibben and 350.org recently on Redacted Tonight. And the idea that 350.org has popularized of divest from fossil fuels, great idea. I'm all for it. Fucking high five, man. Yes, divest from fossil fuels. All right. The problem is they go and invest into Green Century Fund. Invest into these other things that are secretly awful. So it's not that I'm opposed to divest from fossil fuels. I'm all for it. Just don't fucking then invest into the things they're telling you to. So what I was going to say a moment ago is I'm going to start taking ideas for these rants. So if you guys have one you'd like to see done, like a topic you'd like to see done, like, let's say animal agriculture, like I just mentioned, email me at leecampmail@gmail.com. Yes, unfortunately it is Gmail. So you will be tracked. I do have a Proton Mail. I just can't remember to check it enough. So that's why I'm doing Gmail for now. But leecampmail@gmail.com. And you can send your topics there. I'm not generally going to be writing down all the topics you guys throw in here, just because it's not easy for me to keep up with all that when the million comments are flying by. So leecampmail@gmail.com. You can send me topics that you want me to do episodes on. Jeremy, I believe it was, asked me what I think of the modern day Nazis. I think that you should keep an eye on them. I'd say fucking keep one eye open. I don't think they're necessarily as powerful as some people want to give them credit for. There can be a small group of fucking neo-Nazis in America that everyone wants to talk about because it's so fucking disgusting. And that doesn't mean they're that powerful, but these things can shift quickly, especially when you have such inequality, such massive inequality. When the systems are breaking down, people become desperate and they take desperate measures and they join groups and that promote things like death and destruction. As some of you may know, I guess in a lot of ways, I was nearly killed by one of these new form neo-Nazis. The terrorist attack in Charlottesville at the beginning of the Trump presidency. I think it was his first year. Charlottesville, by the way, where I went to school as well. So I knew the town, and I was there to both record what was going on and also to lend support to the anti-Proud Boys, anti-Nazi groups. And I was within 5 feet of the car that drove through everybody and killed Heather Heyer. So I don't take these things lightly. I don't, oh yeah, Nazi, they're not bothering anyone, even though they almost fucking killed me. And I think that makes them, and I'm justifiable in the word use here, cunts. That, yeah. So to sum up, Jeremy, they're cunts. Let's see. Many of these are not questions. Monique in London would like us to know she's vegan. Welcome, Monique. All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I will call it a day. Can you recommend a good compilation of all the election fraud of this year? No, I can't recommend a good compilation, but the guy who's done the most work on it, the most investigative work on it, has really never been proven wrong. There's a lot of election fraud that people run around going, I joked about it, I think, on this latest Redacted tonight. They blur together for me. Too many of them. But the latest Redacted tonight, I joked about people who are like, I saw a TikTok video of someone putting barbecue sauce on a ballot and then they ate it. And that means that 100,000 votes were switched in Pennsylvania. Yeah, okay, great. But sure it does. So a lot of people will spread a lot of crap about election fraud, but that's a big difference from what can be proven in court or what like legitimate investigative journalists have actually been proven correct as having shown. And the best one to follow is Greg Palast. He does a lot of work on this. His website, gregpalast.com, is just a fucking cornucopia of election fraud or election suppression as well, voter suppression, which is election fraud. When you purge hundreds of thousands, really millions of people from the voter rolls, that's fucking election fraud. You have stopped them from voting. So it is funny that a lot of the people that may even agree that all these people have been purged from the voter rolls, the squishy liberals mostly, they're like, yeah, a lot of people there's been a lot of suppression, people have been purged. And then you say, yeah, it's election fraud. And they go, let's not use that term. I don't want to say election fraud. It's just uncomfortable. It's election uncomfortable. That's what this is. We are seeing a lot of election uncomfortable right now. No, it's fucking fraud is what it is. And so that's the election fraud that has been proven. And almost, the vast majority of those purged from the rolls are people of color, poor people, mainly young people, and people of color are the most common ones. And so it's mostly Democrats. These are the statistics. I'm sorry if you're like, fuck the Democrats. It can't be true. You can say fuck the Democrats and you'd be right. And it can also be true. See, these things are not mutually exclusive. It doesn't matter which team you like or whether you're into third parties, which you should look into. But so these are mostly Democrats purged from the rolls. So this is why when you see the polls going into the elections, it all says blue wave. Hillary's going to win by fucking 10 points or whatever they said. The New York Times gave Hillary a 90-something% chance of winning. They had the 538 had Biden at like a 80-something% chance of winning. But instead, Biden squeaks by and Hillary lost. And so the reason for this, that the polls are so far off, is because fucking millions of people are purged from these roles. And Greg Palast is actually, he doesn't just do investigative journalism. He also has brought lawsuits against many of these states. And he was successful in stopping one of the biggest purge devices that has gone on, interstate crosscheck. I mean, he's not the only one bringing the lawsuits. He does it with others. But interstate crosscheck last time around purged like 1.8, 1.7 million people across the country. And the whole system got shut down. So it doesn't exist anymore. It was a garbage bullshit system where they would look for similar names in similar states and purge those people from the rolls. And they weren't the same name. They had different middle names. They had different social security numbers. These were different people, and they're all purged. And you might say, well, what's that got to do with people of color? Well, the Republicans have been careful, and they've looked into this. And, black and brown Americans tend to have more similar last names. So, and it was specific kinds of names that would be purged. So like Brown is a very common last name, or I don't know some of the others, Robertson or something, but these are very common last names. And so if you purge everyone with that last name, then you succeed in stopping people from voting in multiple states. Okay, let's see here. Anything else you guys got for me before I wrap it up? Kyle says, man, I love these political parties that reinforce our undemocratic oligarchy. Me too. If you want to see more on that, please check out my previous moments of clarity that are at leecamp.com. Kevin Andrews says, even more reason for a People's Party. For those of you who don't know, Movement for a People's Party is gaining steam. That I support a lot of Green Party candidates as well. So I'm not saying it's all about Movement for a People's Party. No, it's about wherever you can go to have an impact. But like I've said, voting should be something you do every 2 years for the midterms and 4 years for the general, but or for the presidential. But it shouldn't be what you talk about all year long, because if it is, then you've already fucking lost. John Newell wants to know what's my favorite American political or geopolitical documentary. That would be I'm gonna go with they start to blur together for me, but Zeitgeist Addendum and Zeitgeist Moving Forward are the two that I would put at the top of that list. They get to the deepest point of this whole puzzle, explaining how it works, explaining why we're not really talking about reality most of the time we're talking about this shit. So I'd put those two at the top. Trying to think of some other good ones. What is it called? 13th, about the new Jim Crow. That's a great one. God, most of my favorites I watched a while back, so I don't actually remember the list. But I think the other one is Free Solo. That one where he climbs a big rock. The guy goes up a big rock, and that's most of the movie. And it starts with him not on the big rock, and then he gets on the big rock, and then the rest of the time he's on the big rock. But then he gets to the top of the big rock, and I'd say I put that up there on the documentaries. No, that's not a political document. For those who haven't seen it, these maniacs do free solo climbing where they fucking have no ropes or whatever. And this maniac went up one of the toughest faces in Yellowstone or Yosemite, one of those parks, and it's horrifying. You got to have some level of death wish to do that shit, which I don't. Listen, if you have a little bit of death wish and you want to do that stuff, then I say go for it. Many of them die, by the way. Many of the best free solo people die. It's not uncommon. But I guess, certain percentage of good motorcycle riders die too. So let's see. Oh, another good one that's not political. It's on Netflix right now. My Octopus Teacher. It's called My Octopus Teacher, which was also the name of my favorite porn, but that's unrelated. But this one is not a porn. This one is, I don't think. I mean, at points it's arguable, but My Octopus Teacher it's just a straightforward documentary where this guy befriends an octopus, but it's real. It's all true. And it just shows you how brilliant octopus are, and how amazing they are, and how amazing our world is. And we shouldn't kill it. That's why I rarely support the killing of our world. Every once in a while I'll have a bad day and I'll be like, fuck this place. But most of the time, not for it. Omar says free Assange and free Palestine. I agree on both fronts. And Hazza says WikiLeaks. I agree. WikiLeaks. Hazza also says cephalopods are the next dominant species. Fun fact, the reason cephalopods have not taken over the planet, they should have done it long ago, before when we were just sad little chimpanzees or whatever, and they could have fucking kicked our asses. The main reason they think that they have not taken over, or did not take over, is because their lifespan is 1 to 3 years, somewhere in there. And then the mother allows herself to be eaten by the babies. So they never live more than 1 to 3 years. So they're incredibly smart, but most of their knowledge is gained over their lifetime. It's not handed down from the previous generation. So there's no like advancement of knowledge. Most of them have to learn their world every time anew. And they think that if there was like a period where the mother taught the kids, hey, fucking get away from the humans. Just go wherever they are. You go the opposite direction. Like if there was a mother to teach that, then they advance much quicker and they'd get very smart and they'd kill us all, which would be it'd be pretty cool to watch them kill us all. Okay, guys, go to leecamp.com every single day for new videos. I think I might not have one up for a couple of days, but then I will be back. There's a new episode of Redacted tonight as well. It's all at leecamp.com. And if you want to join the free email, text redacted to 33777. And if you want to support the podcast, that's at patreon.com/commoncensored. All right, keep